Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb, and joining me is my husband, Barrett McNabb.
Well, hello, everybody. Today we're continuing our coverage of presidential candidates with the Green Party presidential candidate for the 2024 election. Let's watch her campaign video.
People are tired of being thrown under the bus by wealthy elites and their bought politicians. Tired of living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, locked in student debt and medical debt, child poverty doubling, rising diseases of despair, growing hopelessness. The political system is broken. The two Wall Street parties are bought and paid for. Over 60% of us now say the bipartisan establishment's failed us, and we need a party that serves the people. I'm Jill Stein, and I'm running for president to offer that choice for the people outside of the failed two-party system. We'll put solutions to the crises we face: crushing inequality, endless war, and climate collapse. And we'll put these front and center in this election and on the ballot across the country. The ruling parties that got us into this mess aren't getting us out. Both parties are squandering trillions on the endless war machine, fueling conflict around the world, while tens of millions here at home lack food, housing, healthcare. Democrats have betrayed their promises for working people, youth, and the climate again and again, while Republicans don't even make such promises in the first place. And both parties are a danger to our democracy, expanding censorship, criminalizing protest, throwing competitors off the ballot, suppressing debates,
American people who've been systematically locked out of these debates,
rigging their primaries. So forget the pundits and the attack dogs who tell you to ignore your misery and just keep voting for those who caused it in the first place. Change won't come from the ruling elites. It comes from we, the people. And when we stand together, we can create living wage jobs for all Americans. We can guarantee an economic bill of rights with the right to a job, to health care, to housing, to food, education, and more. We can abolish student debt, medical debt. We can create a Green New Deal with millions of jobs to fight climate collapse and protect Mother Earth. And we can ensure our constitutional rights and freedoms and justice for all. We can end the endless wars and rampant militarism and use diplomacy and international law instead to end violence, occupation, and apartheid. We do have the power, and we can use it in this election to start building an America and a world that works for all of us. Go to jillstein2024.com and join us.
Okay, what did you think?
Okay.
It's present, Christy. Christy, you need to get that video on your website.
Exactly. Well, Jill Stein is no stranger to the political arena. She's run for president before as a Green Party candidate in 2012 and 2016, and now in 2024. She also ran as the Green Rainbow Party candidate in 2002, so she's had some practice. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College in 1973, concentrating in social relations, a combination of anthropology, sociology, and psychology. She then earned her medical degree from Harvard Medical School in 1979.
But what's even more interesting is how Stein transitioned from practicing internal medicine and being a professor at Harvard Medical School to becoming an environmental health activist and organizer. She co-authored a book on toxic threats to child development and environmental threats to a healthy aging.
Right, and her activism extends to protesting outside of coal plants and advocating for environmental issues on national platforms. She has received several awards for her work, including Clean Water Action's Not in Anyone's Backyard Award.
But critics have argued that Stein's candidacy in 2016 may have influenced the election outcome, especially with allegations that her voters would have otherwise supported Hillary Clinton. Now, that's a good point because we are seeing the polling that is going all over the place with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and all of these potential independent candidacies are talking about whether this is going to be RFK. Are they going to be spoilers?
Yeah, like who would RFK take votes away from? There are people arguing both Biden and Trump on that one.
Yeah, and Cornel West, the same thing. Is he going to get a bunch of the Bernie Sanders block of voters? This is going to be a wild election. And so it's a good point that they say that she might have stolen votes from Hillary Clinton, and we're going to see what happens with this election cycle as well.
Yep. Well, Jill Stein addressed this in an exclusive interview with Newsweek, dismissing the idea that she had the power to decide the election single-handedly. She called it an anti-democratic to suggest that offering more choices could spoil an election. In the interview with Newsweek, Stein said, if you look at things like the Gallup poll, which is done every year and now shows practically a 2/3 majority of Americans are saying that the two parties have basically failed us and that we need a new political party that serves the people.
Now, Stein, who's Jewish, also spoke to Newsweek regarding her thoughts on Israel. And, it's amazing that these are her opinions.
Yes. She describes Israel's actions towards Gaza as genocide and also accused Israel of being an apartheid state. She said even if they wipe out Hamas, there will be the next generation of Hamas, even more vicious and brutal. However, as a presidential candidate, I would think that she would also have included what her response would have been as president.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's easy to poke, but it's a little more difficult and to say, well, this is what I would do. These are the solutions I would provide.
Easy to criticize, but offer a solution.
Exactly. But she doesn't shy away from addressing specific policies. When asked about Biden's actions on climate change, she highlighted concerns about the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't reduce inflation at all, and its emphasis on fossil fuels.
She brings a critical perspective, especially on issues like labor, where she acknowledges positive steps like appointments to the National Labor Relations Review Board, but emphasizes the ongoing struggles and declining conditions for working people.
Now, Stein aims to be on the ballot in all 50 states, building on the Green Party's experience in defending its ballot status, because they have to apply every single time. There's always lawsuits on whether or not they can be on the ballot, and it's the same for the no-name party. There's a lot of who doesn't have a candidate yet, but they are trying to get on the ballot in all 50 states, and there's lots of lawsuits that are trying to block them, but they're winning those. So we'll imagine they'll be as successful as they have in the past.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of Jill Stein and her 2024 presidential campaign. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Azimuth Podcast. Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.